Good afternoon, everyone. Come on, y'all. It's Thursday afternoon. Woo! That's exactly right. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Teniente. I am the Human Resources Director. On behalf of the Legal Raiders, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Certified Public Manager 2025 Practicum presentations. With that being said, I want to also welcome our honored guests that are in the audience today. We have Assistant City Manager Steve Lunding. We also have our Police Chief, Mike Rodriguez. We have Elsa Hinojosa, our Bridge Director. And we also have some very honored and distinguished panelists here. So I'd like to welcome our panelists here. I'll introduce their names. It's Gerardo Jerry Maldonado. He is the Director of Laredo, Mexico operations for the Warren Transport Incorporation. We also have Luis Medina, is as a board member of the LMCA. And we also have Ms. Linda Ramirez. Welcome. We'd like to welcome you to our 2025 cohort. This is an internal program that the city has, so we're honored to have you here with us today. You're going to hear some exciting presentations. And it's invaluable the information that you will also give back to our cohorts. So with that being said, I will turn over to Dr. Haruna. Dr. Haruna has some words of support.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I don't want to stand between you and the exciting presentation, but I do have just a few things to say. The first thing is to thank the city for giving us the opportunity to form this partnership and deliver the CPM process. We're really very grateful. Thank you, Mr. Niente, and thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Ms. Ortiz is here. She's been coordinating so well for us and getting stuff done. We do have also Ms. Foster here. Ms. Foster, please, can you stand up and be recognized? Ms. Foster is the director. So we work together and then make it possible. So I serve as CPM director, but I couldn't do it without them. So I want to thank them so much for their leadership. And then to thank the panelists for agreeing to put their valuable time here this afternoon and to give us very solid and very sound feedback. We do want to publish some of the practicums that they are presenting this afternoon, and we want feedback from our panelists so we can take a look and see how we can tweak these presentations, these reports, and then get them published in the CPM journal that is being run out of Texas State University. So we are in partnership with Texas State University, so we have a contract with them to deliver these courses. Texas State, they used to come here long ago to deliver the course, and then it wasn't sustainable. So we entered into a partnership with them, and then they said we can deliver the courses. And this is we started in 2022, and we've enjoyed every single bit of it. We have graduated so many, and I can see some of them here. And we are very grateful that we have that opportunity because it allows the CPM faculty and the cohorts to actually share experience. So not only the academic classroom discussion, but the real experience, real life work experience that the CPM participants they bring to the table. So it is enriching for them, but it's also enriching for us as CPM faculty. So this practicum was made possible because of their dedication, because the practicum is actually a problem-solving tool. So the way I present it to them is select a problem that you would like to tackle and then come up with solutions and make recommendations. So that is actually to demonstrate that in fact the CPM program has made a difference. So the CPM program is helping them to take a step back. Take a step back and look at what they've been doing and then to see what is there that can be done better. How can they improve? So it is this striving for improvement that we are focusing on in the practicum that we are going to hear this afternoon. So you will hear a variety of presentations. So we didn't just want to give them one topic and say go and do a report on one topic. That would be too boring and it will not be useful. So we give them the flexibility to pick and choose topics that they are interested in, and that will be very useful for their departments and for the city as a whole. So with that said, I just wanted to thank our guests also for coming to support us and to congratulate the CPM graduate. They are about to graduate. In June, they will be marching to get the diplomas at the Texas Capitol in Austin. So I want to congratulate them one more time and to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to do this. And everyone else here who has supported us, we are very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Right now, stays agile, so we are now going to change our schedule just a little bit. We have Naomi Arlette Cienfuegos, she's from the Laredo Police Department. Her presentation is titled, Including Civilians in Disciplinary Review Boards, Issues and Experiences in the Laredo Police Department. Ms. Cienfuegos.
Good afternoon, panelists and members of the community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I am Investigator Noemi Cienfuegos, and I am proudly representing the Laredo Police Department. The title that I selected from our practicum is Including Civilians in Disciplinary Review Boards, Issues and Experiences in the Laredo Police Department. Now, before I begin my presentation, I do want to give you a little background about myself. I've been employed with the Laredo Police Department for approximately 11 years. Throughout those 11 years, I've had the opportunity to work in various divisions, which include the Patrol Division, the Narcotics Vice Unit, Homeland Security Investigations as a task force officer, the Homicide and Robbery Unit, and currently the Internal Affairs Unit for almost 2 years. I would like to give you background knowledge on how the Internal Affairs Unit functions. First and foremost, the Chief of Police carefully selects investigators for the unit. The investigators are then tasked with investigating allegations of police misconduct. The investigators then get a case assigned that's approved by the Chief of Police, and that investigator that gets assigned a case then has to collect the evidence and conduct interviews. During the investigation, the investigator also has to determine if there was any policy violations. And at the end of the investigation, the investigators determine if an officer is indeed sustained, which means there is enough evidence, more than 51% on the allegations, or if the officer is not sustained, which means there was not enough evidence, less than 49%, or if an officer is exonerated, which means they did it but within policy, or if the officer is unfounded, which means the allegation never happened. Once the case is completed, it gets forwarded to one of our chiefs of police, and that chief will impose the discipline. If that officer does not agree on the discipline that is going to be imposed, that's when the disciplinary review process comes into play. An internal affairs investigator will present to a panel the findings for the case, and the panel will make a determination, a recommendation on what discipline they should impose. And this is what we currently have in place right now. Our disciplinary review board is composed of 6 different ranks from our police department, which include a police officer, an investigator, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, and an assistant or deputy chief of police. Although there are multiple reasons as to why we should include civilians in disciplinary review boards, these are the 5 points that I focus on. Key point number 1, accountability. This promotes responsibility and actions, ensuring that individuals are held accountable for their decisions and behavior, and this also promotes greater oversight. Key point number 2, diverse viewpoints. By bringing in civilians, you'll get a broader range of inputs and perspectives in the decision-making process. It creates a balanced decision-making process as well. And by including the different voices, we make better, more inclusive choices that benefit everyone. Key point number 3, this is a vital key point, we strengthen the community relation. Given the community's demand for transparency within the Laredo Police Department, this approach would benefit the department by providing By strengthening the relationship between the police force and the community, this builds stronger connections and trust by fostering mutual respect and understanding. This creates a more unified community as well. Key point number 4, equality. By combining both civilians and officers, this contributes to an equitable justice system by having 6 members of the police department and 6 civilians. This also promotes fairness and balance. Key point number 5, transparency. By involving civilians, we ensure that the process of reviewing police actions is more open and accessible to the public. Together, these key points create a stronger, more cohesive relationship between law enforcement and the people that we serve. Now, for my literature review, we were asked to select several themes. The theme number 1 that I selected is ethics, which goes hand in hand with the golden rule. Do to others what you would have them do to you. Ethics is also the foundation for building trust, and by maintaining ethical standards in police work, this fosters and ensures fair treatment all across. Theme number 2 that I selected is transparency. This ensures accountability. And something interesting that I saw in one of my readings is the following. Recently, there has been interest among many public officials and police administrators in establishing a civilian oversight of the police. Such initiatives could maintain, if not restore, trust in the police and improve police-community relations. Right, this is something that outlined how, just by bringing in civilians, we increase the trust within the community. Theme number 3 that I selected is a triangle theory. This better aligns with the process of a disciplinary review board because it's a structured, practical framework. By using the ethical triangle, this consists of using principles and consequences and virtues while making an ethical decision. Key point number 4, morale. This impacts the effectiveness and overall job performance. For example, you can have 2 officers with similar cases and one officer gets a 3-day suspension recommendation, another officer gets an oral reprimand. The percentage of that officer getting the 3-day suspension, that morale and his job performance might decrease. Theme number 5, demographic composition. This promotes trust and legitimacy by creating a positive organizational structure. By demographics, you combine people with different backgrounds. It could be the education field that have a different input. As far as my methodology, my study does not fully represent the entire police department. It specifically focuses on the internal affairs staff, and the survey was designed to gather insights from individuals with direct experience with internal affairs operations. I use a combination of a qualitative and quantitative approach by asking close-ended and open-ended questions to gather both percentage data and detailed qualitative insights from respondents. The valuable insights from the participant will improve the overall effectiveness of a DRB. The main areas of focus on the survey were transparency, fairness, and accountability. During my study, I surveyed a total of 10 participants, all with different experiences in internal affairs, from different ranks that range from investigator, sergeant, and lieutenants. Like I mentioned, all the participants have experience in internal affairs and have knowledge regarding the disciplinary review process. All the participants were surveyed via email. They were advised that this was on a volunteer basis and their answers would remain confidential. These are the questions that the participants received. I will not read them now, however, I will get to them. Question number 1 that I asked my participants. Do you feel that the current disciplinary review board provides transparency and accountability? 40% agreed, which 30% strongly agreed on it. So a total of 40 with the agreed percentage of it. The next question. Should disciplinary review boards be a combination of police officers with civilians, civilians only, or as is police officers? Now, this was a split decision with 50% siding with police officers only and 50% siding with police officers and civilians. I do want to make note that some departments have transitioned to a complete civilian oversight. That is why I included that as one of my options. The next question I asked the members. Do you believe the percentage of sustained cases for police officers would increase with the inclusion of civilians in disciplinary review boards? 70% stated that yes, they do feel that the sustained cases would increase. And again, sustained means enough evidence, more than 51%. The next question I asked. As a family member or immediate supervisor served on a disciplinary review board of an accused officer, 100% said yes. I see this one like similar to jury duty where you're asked to fill out a questionnaire. If there's a family member that's related to the defendant, you automatically get excluded from that process, which is something that we should have in place, exclude that individual. Next question I asked, would including civilians in disciplinary review boards increase the department's transparency for the community? 50% stated yes, it would increase. Well, this is a question that I asked the participants to get an answer of feedback as to why they answered the way that they did. The question that I asked is, have you presented at a disciplinary review board and felt the outcome wasn't what you expected? Please explain. I will not go over each one, but I will highlight some of the main ones that stood out. One of the participants stated, yes, the unexpected outcomes may have resulted from the officer's inability to scrutinize one another. Another participant stated, yes, boards made up exclusively of police officers that include non-supervising personnel at times cannot be neutral and detached. As per my findings, there is definitely strong support for transitioning to include civilians. This is a positive step forward to improving the accountability and transparency of the Laredo Police Department. This also aligns with best practices observed in many policing agencies today. The outcome and cost. What is this going to cost the city? This will not cost the city any money as this is on a volunteer basis. However, experienced members of the department will need to dedicate their time by providing the participants with their knowledge they need to contribute effectively to the process. Next, I would like to outline the first year action plan for the disciplinary review process. First, we would start off by establishing a selection criteria by posting the opening for applicants on our city website. We would make sure to define our eligibility, basically no criminal history or conflict of interest. And we would notify them that we would have a switch. They cannot be part of a board consecutively. We need to have a rotation in place. Number two, the application process. We would survey our members with a 25 to 50 question survey to make sure that they're eligible and they're citizens of the city of Laredo. We would conduct a quick interview so the applicants understand the process and responsibilities. Number three, we would then have the approval of selection by presenting the criteria to our city council for approval. And then we would verify and assess the applicant's answers. Once those answers are received, we will review the applications and conduct soft background checks before proceeding with interviews. Once there have been a selection of applicants approved as volunteers, then we would provide them with the training and orientation. The selected civilians with the Laredo Police Department would then be provided with the Laredo Police Department Police Manual, the City of Laredo policies, and the Laredo Police Officer Association contract. We would then provide them with a training which would entail a mock disciplinary review board so they can familiarize themselves with the procedures and expectations of the review process. And lastly, we would evaluate and assess the program as needed. The assigned program coordinator would monitor the effectiveness of the civilian involvement through feedback and performance reviews. To conclude my presentation, including civilians and disciplinary review boards will provide a more diverse understanding and perspective, which can lead to greater accountability within the Laredo Police Department. This is why it is highly recommended that civilians be included in disciplinary review boards. With this in place, our department will improve community relations and enhance trust. When the community trusts the process, they are more than likely to cooperate and feel safe around officers. Thank you for your attention. Is there any questions?
I have a few. Excellent idea. I loved it. And there's a lot of things that I want to point out that were really good. But first, I want to kind of know, how did you come up with this idea? Did you feel that there was a flaw in the system that kind of brought this up in mind?
So I brought up this idea because I've noticed that a lot of police agencies in the state of Texas or in the United States have implemented this, and we have not implemented this, so this is why. I can know that San Antonio has a combination of both civilians and officers. Austin has complete civilian oversight. Dallas has a complete civilian oversight, so each department has a different thing in place.
Mm-hmm. My next comment was, how do you think this will affect the corporate culture of the police department by bringing civilians in? Do you think it'll have a positive effect, a negative effect on on the morale among police officers?
I think it would have definitely a positive effect because now it's like you're bringing the community's perspective into the decision-making process, and so the combination of both can, people can think all the time like, hey, they throw everything under the rug because it's blue and blue, but if you bring that civilian, they can actually help the police officer itself.
I noticed that you surveyed 10 officers. Was this 10 officers only within the Internal Affairs Division?
I only surveyed people with experience in the internal affairs and the disciplinary review process experience.
Of that 10 people, what was the percentage of your survey? Was it 5% of the police department, 10% of the police department?
All of them are from the police department.
Okay.
All of them are members of the Laredo Police
But of the
Department.
total number, I mean, was the population size, I guess I'm trying to get to, representative of, a decent number of respondents?
Yes.
I also want to point out a few things. One, I really did like, where did I write it down? I wrote notes all over the place. I like that you brought up the idea of, under morale, the ethical theory of equity and fairness, right? And I think that's also really important because it also goes into the morale of the organization. If someone feels they are not being treated fairly, it can have a very negative domino effect among everyone within the organization. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. Another thing I really loved was that you included training anyone that was selected, because oftentimes when we put together plans and we leave out the very important step of training individuals on this particular committee. So they really don't know what the expectation is supposed to be. So I want to commend you on that you talked about how important the training process is before anyone can sit on this committee. Have a very clear understanding of what the expectations are. That was really good, very thorough.
Also, excellent presentation. I will add, in my personal opinion, education to it. Unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody has feelings and everybody has their own way of looking at things, right? And that's fair. If we were all the same, the world will be very boring. I think this is a great initiative. I think this is something that will be very beneficial to the community and to the police department more than anything. There's a lot of people that believe that the officer has to do this, or they have to say that, or if I ask a question, they have to answer me. A lot of it, I think, has to do with people are getting the wrong ideas from the internet or other sources. So I will encourage, respectfully, an education part in general of what a police officer really has to do and what some of the things he can do. If you go up to an officer and are yelling and screaming and demanding things, he also is a person. He's also a human being. And he's trained to do things a certain way, right? So, en el pedir está el dar, right? So, I think it's a good thing. I would only suggest, my suggestion would be that you add more education to the general public, to all of us as a department, because there is a lot of people out there that believe that the officers have to do and answer all their questions, and it doesn't work that way, especially if you're not even involved in the situation. If I'm driving by and there's a situation going by, I feel some people think I'm going to get off and start asking questions, and they have to listen to me and give me all the details. They don't have to do that. I mean, that unfortunately, I think it's getting out of control in our community, and it's something that I feel needs to be addressed also. Like she mentioned, the training part, whenever you do select the people to do this, train them and the expectation. Having a set of eyes from the public, I think is valuable. We all have different things that we do in our lives. And of course, like people say, police will cover police. That's not really the way it works. But having a different set of eyes from the public, like you said, you vet them, you check them, make sure they live here, make sure they have a clean criminal background, all that. I think that's excellent, that they follow all those filters in order to be considered. So, excellent presentation. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It looked like you like it. You're passionate about it, so that's always real cool. I have two questions. So, I would have liked to see more of our other police department experiences going through these proposals or transitions or setups, right? And like have document more about how was the experience of San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, or more likely cities with the size of our Laredo police department, right? More interaction or more research on that to see if if it's a good thing. Right?
There is some articles that I've read on my own that do mention that the inclusion of civilians does increase the sustained cases for police officers. There is proven
Okay.
numbers on that.
Probably in your next presentation,
Next presentation.
if you can include that would help, right? And also, my second question is, how do you think the Laredo Police Department feels about your proposal?
I think that's something that they've been planning to push forward. It's just a matter of getting, looking at outside agencies to mimic something that they're doing, something that isn't working, then we would adjust it our way to have our own type of disciplinary review process, but with including the civilians.
Do you think it's gonna pass?
I think it will.
One thing we saw about your data is there was a 50-50, right, on the 10 officers that you interviewed, 50-50, whether or not they thought that this would be implemented. I think if it is, and I hope it is, right, because I think we need to stay in line with larger or, some of our peer cities and communities out there. And you said this is becoming a nationwide best practice, and it's certainly something that the city of Laredo should be implementing. And if it is, you're gonna have to work with change, right? Because there's lots and lots of hundreds of officers on the LPD, and if only 50% of them are going to be open to this new change, then there's a lot of work ahead of you, right? Because 50% is not ideal. You really want more than that to be open to this, and change is the hardest thing, right? Everybody hates to change. And so whether unfreezing a particular behavior to try to institute a new one and then refreezing the new behavior. But like I said, I think it's a wonderful idea, very insightful and forward-thinking. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions for you. Investigator, I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, investigator, I served with you for 7 months, and I'm very proud of you. Very professional, and thank you for what you do for the police department. I wanted just to touch on a couple of things because I got to work with you and the lieutenant and some of the chiefs as we went through some IA cases together while I was there with you all. And so, for the purposes of everybody in the room, could you tell us how, if the board is through the collective bargaining, or is it a police policy?
It is a police policy.
So this could be changed without it having to go to the negotiation table directly from the chief's office. This can be implemented.
Yes.
Doesn't need to go through collective bargaining.
It's in our policy.
Okay. Do you know how the association feels about it? Has there been any discussion on if there would be pushback if the chief were to implement something like this?
I haven't reached out to any of the members of the union to see how they feel about it, but from my understanding, they feel that it benefits the officers themselves by including the civilians.
Okay. Do you know how the administration feels about it?
I do not know.
Okay. So just if I would have stayed longer, I would have made it happen. Because I thought I was getting some outside of the organization, including management, that it was something that was necessary in order to take the next step. I did witness some cases that I thought were pretty solid, and then to hear the outcome of the board was actually a little shocking, actually disappointing in some cases. And so ultimately, thank you for doing this, and it's so great to see the chiefs here, the support. Chief?
To clarify something, it is a collective bargaining item.
It is.
It is in a collective bargaining. We can change it as a management. We go to contract.
Yes.
This month. month, so that's something that will be negotiated, but the disciplinary review process is in the collective bargaining.
Including the composition of the board? Because we may have talked a little bit about that when I was
On
there.
the policy, it specifically says, on the bargaining and on the policy, it says police officer, investigator.
So it is
Different
composed
ranks.
within the it's spelled out, chief? Okay, so it does need to come to collective bargaining. And so are you interested in taking that article?
Well, the thing is that there's more research to be done. We're
Okay.
a 175 officer strong agency. There is pros and cons to having a civilian inside a disciplinary review board process. It's not only a matter of training, but it's a matter of knowing. Just because if it's an officer involved shooting, we need to have the perspective of the officer at that moment, at that time, when he decides to use that kind of use of force in that level, versus a civilian from the outside that is going to say, well, I don't know, I could have used this, or Monday morning quarterback in the situation. So there's not only a consistent level of training that the civilian needs to have, but also there's other components that will need to be added for that civilian to participate in this disciplinary review process, to be able to have an outcome that is not only a win for the community, but also a win for the officer.
Yeah.
We need to have the perspective of the officer to be able to make that determination and use the right or the necessary use of force, or that the decision that he took at the time of what happened in that incident or that campaign, the decision that he made was not only by policy, but also on the perspective of the officer at that moment. So as a civilian, it's very different because you've never been a police officer, you've never engaged a situation and different types of situations throughout their career. So there's more than just a training involved. There's a lot of other components that that civilian needs to have to be able to implement that kind of process. Austin is going through some
Difficulties with that.
difficulties with their civilian
Because they took it too far.
yeah. LAPD.
There's gotta be a
on the other
balance.
side, LAPD has it, but LAPD has lawyers.
Okay.
Has, ex-police chiefs, ex-police commissioners. So it's a different type of environment when it comes to PRBs versus just training a civilian from outside, a businessman or a doctor, right? To train him and say, hey, you're gonna participate in finding out if he did right or wrong, right? So it's difficult. Yes, we thought about it, but we have to put more thought into it as to how we can implement this process.
Thank you, Chief, for the clarification. There, in management's perspective, for the record, I mean, that's not a full situation, but just to say, we are interested, and the chief knows, in the potential of implementing at least a little bit of this, we don't want to go too far like Austin. They pretty much broke it. I think they broke, and I have friends in the police department over there that said they went too far. And when you go too far and give it all to a complete overview of the citizens, and then they have too liberal of an attitude, then the law enforcement community say, I don't want to engage because they're going to hang me for it. Anyway, thank you for your presentation. Excellent work.
Good conversation, thank you so much for the input. The next person that we have on schedule, we're back on schedule, everyone. It is Amanda Crisipienda. She is the IST 911 program, and her topic is documenting the journeys of the next generation 911 in South Texas. Amanda?
Good afternoon, my name is Amanda Tienda, and I'm the 911 Program Manager for the South Texas region. I've been now with the city for 10 years, and this is a program that is very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about this work. I would like to say thank you to city management for allowing us to participate in the CPM program. Thank you to the panelists for taking the time out of your day to come and listen to these presentations. To our fellow cohorts, it's been definitely a long journey, and we're excited to be here. I would also like to say thank you to my staff from 911 administration. They are wonderful staff, And together, this is a team effort on our part. And also to my family, particularly my husband and children, because they were definitely a guiding light throughout this process. So my topic is documenting the journey to next generation 911 for South Texas. Imagine it's the middle of the night, you go to check your sleeping child, and they're nowhere to be found. You have no idea what to do. Somebody has taken them. Somehow they're able to get a hold of a phone, and they're able to receive a life-saving link. That link will lead them to their exact location and provide a new location every 5 seconds. This is the future of 911. We administer the 911 program for the South Texas region. So we administer 911 for Webb, Jim Hogg, Star, and Zapata counties. The funding that we receive is from our state agency, the Commission on State Emergency Communications, and we're responsible for everything from network infrastructure to geographic information systems, so all of the maps that come through with 911. Compliance, we have 8 agencies under our purview that we ensure state compliance for. And of course, public education. It's a very, very important component of our program. Without the public not knowing how to properly use 911, our service would not be very helpful. For the current industry standard, the way that we get 911 calls, currently 90% of the calls that we receive are wireless calls from a cell phone. Right now we use cell phone triangulation, so the 3 closest cell phone towers closest to you. For South Texas, we are in the we're already utilizing technology. It's a major implementation across South Texas to enhance call delivery and service. The service that we are currently using is Carbine Universe. So we are early adopters for next generation. What is our mission? For us, our mission is to ensure reliable 911 emergency services for the entire South Texas region, and of course maintain compliance to meet state regulations. Our vision is to provide the best 911 service in the entire state of Texas. And where does that value come in? Every second counts. And there's current technology available to make sure every one of those seconds matter. Carbine Next Gen Services, what does that mean? Right now we have Universe, which is an over-the-top solution, so it enhances the current 911 service we have. I mentioned that right now the phone calls come in through cell phone triangulation. With this service, this allows us to get device-based location. So it will be exact location at 100%. In addition, it enables a one-way FaceTime for the callers. So the call taker would send a link to the caller would accept, and it would ask 2 questions: access to location and access to camera. Once that is done, we're able to see and have eyes into the situation. Coming in the future is a cloud-based call handling solution. This will give us the ability to mobilize and move from one location to another. It will enable call transcription, so imagine the 911 calls will now be subtitled. And it will allow for call translation. So of course, we're on the border, we're gonna get Spanish calls. Now we'll have the subtext of the Spanish calls, and I believe up to 90 languages. And of course, device-based location. This is our current timeline. In 2004, the city of Laredo took over the 911 program for the South Texas region. In 2020, Carbine Universe was the first region in all of the state of Texas to launch. By 2021, we had the ESINet, which is a transition to a new way of call delivery. So this means that it went from connectivity from PSAP to PSAP to connectivity at the statewide level. In 2024, we went out and asked for an additional $1.5 million for next generation 911 equipment, and we were granted that funding. Right now, 2025, we are in the implementation process of our cloud-native call handling solution. The objective for my practicum was, of course, to look at the research questions, abstract, literature review, methodology, practicum, create a plan of action, and go over the conclusion. For my abstract, I focused in on key items. Organizational thought process. I wanted to address deficiencies here in our region. Of course, the goal for this paper was to transform public communication and work on the development of standard operating procedures. My research question is, how will the development of a standard operating procedure and organizational communication help to facilitate implementation of new technology that seeks to provide solutions for the 911 system? For my literature review, I reviewed 5 themes: effective communication, decision-making, consistency and operational efficiency, legal defensibility, and engaging stakeholders. The key takeaway from our literature review is that SOPs are crucial. They're essential pillars with any implementation, and they guide daily operations. For my methodology, I used a qualitative survey to measure the effectiveness of our program. We chose this for insights and based on expert opinion, and I utilized a purposeful sampling. We have a very specific group of people that we work with, and so we wanted to get their feedback for this process. And the limitation that we did face was time. For my survey, we did a sample size of 25 participants, and there was 68% response rate. There is a breakdown between regional staff, PSAP managers, and telecommunicators. And I was able to reach out to each of these participants to encourage participation with the survey. For my finding, participants were overall satisfied with the implementation of Carbine Universe. The majority indicated inclusion in the process, and the participants disagreed with sufficient instruction, or they disagreed that sufficient instructions were provided. So some said, yes, we have enough information. Some said, no, we don't have enough information. But the common theme would be to develop SOPs. For the survey results, I looked at we had a 68% response rate. 100% were satisfied with Universe implementation. The majority had indicated that stakeholder inclusion was very important for the decision-making process. 100% thought that it was crucial to engage stakeholders and the public. And 100% thought SOPs would improve Carbine usage and improve call delivery. In Figure 1, you can see some of the data that we received. So again, we have this big technology implementation, right? And we're trying to standardize that process. So most of the participants, or all the participants strongly agreed that developing the standard operating procedures for that process would facilitate call delivery. And of course, 100% agreed that it was important to include stakeholders. So our technology implementation has taken the course of 6 years to implement. It was not an easy task. We had been using the same call handling equipment for 19 years. So imagine transitioning from the same equipment to a brand new next generation 911 system. It took a lot of time. It took buy-in over time to work with all the members, the telecommunicators and leadership staff. For my recommendations to implement new technology is to develop the standard operating procedures, engage stakeholders early and often, focus on public education, leverage the technology that we have access to, provide comprehensive training, promote cross-agency collaboration, because again, we do have 8 agencies that we work with across the 4 counties, and of course have a task force where we can regularly review and evaluate these SOPs. For my plan of action, develop SOPs and provide procedures and policies for administrators, leadership, and end users to facilitate this process. I want to document the technology rollout, so create a roadmap and best practices for agencies as they develop large-scale technology projects. And my ultimate goal is to turn this practicum into a white paper that can be presented to conferences. And I would like to create a panel from the experts that we've developed to present at state and national conferences. This is the roadmap that we will use and develop to lead the nation into next generation 911. I do have a short video that I would like to highlight our work here in our 4-county region. And it also goes to show that our work has been very well received within the 4 counties. Public safety and technology are 2 forces that, when they're unified, create a more resilient community.
If they can stay ahead of the game, we will always have an upper hand.
When I first saw car buying, I thought we have to have this for our region.
We're going to send a car by link, which gives us access to your location and to your camera and also the live chat.
It changes the dynamics of how we respond.
It just basically saves lives.
The public deserves the best. It's their money getting put to use.
Our community of the 4 counties region, Jim Hogg, Star, Reverend Zapata, we are better prepared. So we are ready for the new technology. South Texas is ready. Are you ready?
So South Texas is definitely ready, right? We have the technology in place, and now we would like to develop the tools to be able to lead everybody else, right? Right now we are leaders in the nation within the 911 industry, and I think we're in the right place to build a roadmap to help others be on the same track. In conclusion, based on the research, the development of SOPs and organizational communication will facilitate the technology implementation process. SOPs are crucial for effective communication, consistency for operations, and also for legal defensibility, right? So everybody's going to be on the same page in terms of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. It's also crucial to engage stakeholders and the general public to ensure the public is aware of the technology available and that we're utilizing these services effectively. South Texas is documenting the road to facilitate future technology implementations, and once it's developed, you will be able to use this process whether you're doing a small technology implementation or a large-scale one as we are doing today. So we do have the technology in place to transform public safety for our region as we know it, and we're ready to share that knowledge and lead the industry into next generation 911. Thank you so much, and I am open for questions.
So it's your goal to implement this new technology in the Laredo area 911 system, right? The access to cameras, we currently do not use that?
So we are currently using an over-the-top solution, and we already received the funding. It's in process this year to have the fully implemented call handling solution. So by December, we will be fully operational with the cloud-based program.
Is this used in any other cities around Texas?
So we were the first in the nation to have the over-the-top solution. I mean, first in Texas to have the over-the-top solution. In the state of Texas, we will be the second or third to have it, the full cloud-based version. But honestly, we are early adopters of the technology.
That was what I was getting to. As early adopters, do you have any concerns of violation of privacy rights? I know that in the end you talked about the legal aspect of this, of what could possibly happen. And that's why I was asking, has anybody else implemented it, right? Because as an early adopter, you run the risk of running into legal challenges, right? Especially the access to cameras. What is to stop other agencies, and I'm not trying to point out LPD, from accessing your system to access someone's camera? I mean, has that been tested anywhere else?
So when I say we're early adopters, we have the technology right now, but this is a project I've been working on for 6 years. So we've done a lot of research into how we can protect the community, protect the privacy of the videos coming in. I know Carbine does use the Amazon Web Gov Cloud, so that we have that level of protection. We also have a cybersecurity proactive program in place through Secular. So we are actually one of the only regions in Texas that uses this cybersecurity program. We have a device at every one of our centers that proactively monitors all of our sites. So we get any suspicious activity, we're notified almost immediately.
Yeah, it would take you would need a lot of different firewalls in place, right, to make sure that the system isn't hacked. I would have liked to have seen, first of all, absolutely amazing job, and I love the idea. It's innovative, high tech, and definitely into the future. Maybe on your survey, you might want to ask a question similar to that, right? Because we're looking at your survey questions. I didn't see anything in there that was questioning the ethicality or the legality of such, and what the survey participants would have thought of that.
Yes. I did have one of my questions addressing legal defensibility. I just wasn't able to put all of them.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But it is something that we addressed sincerely with City Attorney's Office, and then also just with other agencies. How are they doing it? I guess, when we're looking at a program like Carbine, we have eyes into a situation. So if there's an active shooter in a school, a student can call, and all of a sudden we're able to see in real time and be able to send that to first responders. So sometimes the benefit of that technology outweighs the other piece.
I just say it sounds in theory like a wonderful idea, but so did the Patriot Act, right? Before it was allowed to expire. And so, sometimes we need to really think it through before, and maybe not, implement every aspect of it, but think about the what ifs, right?
And this video is only saved in our cloud for 3 months. In addition, they all have logins. So it can be sent to first responders. It's only going to be active for 15 minutes, that link, and then it's no longer active. But anybody who logs into the system, we will know who is looking at the video.
Good.
Great presentation. Congratulations. You're a great speaker. I have a couple of things. So this is like an obvious question. Do you want it? Yes. But why hasn't it been implemented in the past, before, or what are the challenges going forward?
If you can believe it, 911 technology had not changed from its inception 50 years ago. It's a very expensive program. For example, just in our region, we have our own 911 dedicated network, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to upkeep, right? Adding any type of technology improvements it's a lot of money, right? So for us to implement Carbine Apex, it was almost a $2 million project, 1.9 million. And not everybody has accessibility to those funds. Luckily we do, and luckily we were able to get this additional funding from CSEC. I think the other piece is that you need to have a leader who is willing to take the risk with technology. When I first saw this program in 2019, I was excited. I said, if we can have this type of technology in our region, why wouldn't we? But I also saw the program with a fellow program associate, and he said, why would you put that in? Because he wants to, some people are okay with having the status quo of 911, right? That you get the call in, you get the map that is traditional map, you send it out. And, I think for me, I don't want the basic 911. I want to have the best 911 in Texas. And for me, it was very important to utilize all of the technology that we possibly could. I think, I'm not one to shy away. It was a very big project. Like I said, this has been 6 years in the making, and we're just now coming to where we see it fully implemented. So it's a very exciting time for us. And then I think little by little, because of course other people want to see the implementation, right? So little by little, people will get there. And I would say in the next 5 years, probably all 911s would have access to video and device-based location. But right now, like let's say you go to San Antonio, they do not have this available. You go to McAllen, Harlingen, they don't have it available. So the region that you're calling 911 from has to have the technology in place.
Okay. And my second, thank you for that.
Yes.
And my other question is, so right now we have the regular 911. You know, is there an expectation, an idea, or some sort of information of what is going to be the end result once the new 911 gets implemented? Like, what do you expect?
So for me, I think there's always room for improvement, right? Once we're fully implemented, I'm going to look at faster response times. I'm going to focus in on training. Again, training. That's why we went with the over-the-top solution first, because we don't want to go full on with the fully implemented version, right? I wanted to make sure that our call takers and all of the PSAPs, which are the 911 centers, felt 100% comfortable moving forward with Carbine. And I do believe that now, because so what I did over time is I would have presentations, and we always include our 911 centers when we go to conferences, so they have the opportunity to learn about all of these technologies available. And so I feel like that was a key piece in getting everybody on board, because really we send telecommunicators to our state conference, and then we send our 911 managers to the national conference, so they have access to this information. I think a lot of times where, my counterparts might need more help with is being able to share the knowledge, right? Because I'm a strong believer in making sure that it's not just me that's moving forward. I want our entire region to feel like very confident in what they're doing and very confident with the tools that they have.
I guess my recommendation would be for you, if possible, to include more data of expectations on results, right? We're gonna improve these on 10%, 5%. It's a great idea, but unfortunately, we need to sell it on a more of a numbers thing. Because, it's a great idea, everything, but you need to kind of focus on a result, right?
Okay.
So, but, I look forward to see this in the next year.
Yes, but my goal is by the end
I don't
of
like calling 911 though, but.
Yes, but we'll be ready when you do call. My goal is to have this fully implemented. We're still working on some network issues that we're working on simultaneously. So my goal is by December to have this fully implemented.
Congratulations.
Excellent presentation. I'm a big supporter of SOPs. It is valuable for any operation, and including, this 911 issue. We practice that in the company, and it's something that is extremely needed. If something changes, somebody leaves, there's a clear path to what that person did and the expectations of them. So that's, excellent on that. I think this is a good thing, personally. I think the efficiency and you made it, in the very beginning you said it, every second counts, and it really does. So if 90% of the phone calls are from cell phone, I unfortunately have had to use 911 in the past, right? And you're right, every second counts. And I had to spend time telling the operator, my address, all the information that you can now push a button or two buttons and you will automatically get it. And additionally, you can see things, You mentioned the schools. I have an 11-year-old. God forbid something happens. They call 911. The officers, everybody will be able to see and not guess, not make assumptions. When you're in a state of panic where you have to call 911, you don't really think on your feet as you should, as a normal citizen, right? And that's why you all are trained. If you are able to send a video to police and they can see the person, the weapon, the fire, whatever it is, I think it's a win. I wouldn't be concerned about privacy. I wouldn't be concerned about any of that, in my opinion. We all have this. If you say something, you will get ads immediately. So, yes, people's privacy is important, But when you're dialing 911, I don't care what you have to see. If I need help, I expect the help to be there. And I will lean to believe that most people, if you dial 911, you're not gonna be worried, well, are you gonna be able to see me like 100%? Or that shouldn't be a concern in my opinion. I think it's something good, it's positive. And my questions were gonna be the cost, the funding, you mentioned at 1.9. If it's something that's there and we are already in track to do it by December, I think it's a great thing.
I will say also, if that $1.5 wouldn't have come to South Texas, it would have gone to another region in somewhere else in Texas. So of course, when that money was available, I said, no, I want that money here in South Texas. I want that money here in our region. And fortunately, we're able to roll out this program.
Good luck.
From management's perspective, we're very proud of you and the whole team and the advancements that you're bringing forward for the community. Keep up the good work, and we're very proud of you. Thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you, Chief.
Do you all need a break, the panelists? Do you all need a 5-minute break right now? We're halfway through.
No, good.
Okay to go? Okay, good. Okay. We are now going to listen to the presentation by Jose. Will you read this? He is from the Bloomington Business Bureau. His topic is titled Benefits and Challenges of an International Relations Office within the City of Laredo Government. Mr. Jose.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, City Management, for this opportunity. Thank you, distinguished members of the panel. Also, thank you for my colleagues and friends and my bosses, Eileen and Joel, who are here supporting me this afternoon. My name is Jose Ollarvides. I hold a bachelor's degree in communication sciences, and I have worked in mass media in Mexico, where I was born, and here in the United States. Over the years, I also pursue courses on global diplomacy, subnational diplomacy, and public international law. For the past 17 years, I've been working, and I've been honored to work and serve my community throughout various roles within the City of Laredo government. I spent a decade recording official meetings and producing television programs from this very control room where this presentation is being recorded. Later, I had the privilege of serving as a personal assistant to Mayor Pete Saenz, and then Mayor Dr. Victor Treviño. And since last November, I've taken on a new role and responsibilities within the Laredo Conventions and Visitors Bureau as an international relations coordinator. Today, I'm proud to share the work I developed through my CPM practicum. The focus is on the benefits and challenges of creating an international relations office, or IRO, within the City of Laredo government. In this slide, we can see that Laredo plays a major role in international trade, especially with Mexico. Yet, we don't have a formal structure for managing our international relations. Just a brief pause in here. This practicum was prepared before I've taken this position, just for your information. And IRO could change that by creating a coordinated and professional approach to diplomacy. This office will help strengthen cross-border collaboration and boost our economic development while raising Laredo's international profile. On the following slide, we can see that in 2023, Laredo facilitated over $319 billion with B in U.S.-Mexico trade, which is over 40% of all trade between the two countries. This makes Laredo a critical hub, not just regionally, but globally. Given that importance, having a dedicated office to manage international relations isn't just a good idea, it is essential. On the following slide, we can see that cities across the US, like McAllen, San Antonio, and Houston, have already created IROs to position themselves better globally. McAllen is a great example. Last year, they signed an agreement with the Mexican Trade Council, which is COMCE Noreste, that's already improving cross-border trade through the Anzalduas Bridge. Academic research backs this up. Subnational diplomacy, which is the city-to-city engagement, is becoming increasingly valuable. Laredo should not fall behind in this trend. In the following slide, without an IRO, we're missing out on diplomatic influence, trade partnerships, and strategic opportunities. I survey experts in diplomacy and various levels of government. The response was clear. Establishing an IRO will benefit Laredo. As one expert quote reminds us, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. We need a seat on that table. On the following slide is an IRO will structure our diplomatic efforts, making them more effective and aligned with national and global strategies. It will help Laredo better coordinate with the guidance of city management, with key stakeholders and partners like Port Laredo, Airport, Bridge, Laredo CBB, Economic Development, and other city departments. This office will serve as a city's point of contact for all international engagement, from trade negotiations to global initiatives. Steps towards creating the IRO. The steps are clear and practical. First, we need the support for City Council and city management. Then, define the office responsibilities, securing funding, and develop a strategic plan, something flexible and adaptable. Over time, this could grow into a whole department. We can even work with the US Department to align with national efforts in subnational diplomacy. On the next slide, my recommendations, which is the collaboration is a key. An IRO can only succeed if it includes input and participation from across Laredo, government, businesses, community leaders, and stakeholders like LMCAA. Our mission should be to leverage Laredo's geography and trade ties to strengthen our international presence. With the proper structures and support, this office can become a real force for economic growth and global recognition. Thank you very much. And just as a final side note, and on a personal note, while I was working on this practicum, I learned that the city was already planning to create this international relations coordinator position with CBB, which ironically that's now the position that I hold. The timing felt divinely orchestrated, like my practicum and the city goals aligned in the right moment. So thank you again for your time and attention. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Other than citing some of the secondary resources you use, like the Valley and other places that have already started this, did you do any primary research of your own, like a survey instrument or?
Actually,
the city's already thinking about implementing.
Yeah, I found out when I was already working on the practicum, and maybe Dr. Haruna can attest on that. But my reason, actually, the way that I found out the lack of an international relations office is when I was in the position of assistant to the mayor. Because I was the one who received the calls from Mexico. I was the one who received the emails from Mexico, city entities, organizations, whatever, different organizations and cities from Mexico at various levels. So I was in charge of advising the mayor, there's a communications, what do you want me to do, and everything ended on Laredo CBB. So, but there's so many things to do at the same time, so like a 3 or 4 ring circles, that sometimes we don't pull the strings together, or there's a lack of follow-up, a proper follow-up for a way of saying. And that's what I detect when I was doing my practicum, because my responsibilities when I started the CPM practicum were too broad, just to be on a specific or narrow topic as a specific theme for a practicum. That's why I found out, and then I learned about the opportunity afterwards. But I already on a roll with my, actually I already done the surveys with my experts.
And what is the expectation? What are the goals? What is this office going to accomplish, and how it's going to be measured?
Okay, the goals is we're have implemented already a binational collaboration program, which is there's no more sister cities agreements per decision of council. Now it's called binational collaboration programs, which is a win-win for both sides. No? Not only a little town in Mexico requesting a tanker from the firefighters or an old ambulance and just give it away, but there was nothing in return. So the idea is to implement a plan. That way they can, we're maybe giving something, but what we're gonna receive. I run the details before the pictures, before the travel, before the trip, in order to be on the same page way beforehand that happens. Also, I'm working on a virtual training for firefighters in Mexico, which will be conducted on April 24th, which different cities who are already sister cities with Laredo.
And is this the first time somebody proposes something like this?
As far as I know, yes, I've been with the city 17 years. I never heard something specific like this.
Why do you think that was not a thing before?
I can think something in specific right now, but maybe I don't know. I can guess into that.
I mean, it's a great idea. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's just boggles my mind that it hasn't been done before.
Thank
But
you.
congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Medina.
I agree that it's a great idea. We all do, I speak for myself and the industry that I represent, and we promote Laredo, we promote our port, we promote, our state, we promote our city, everything that Laredo is. But I do feel that the city of Laredo needs to have something like this, an office that is respectfully their job and their goal, to do it as a city, and work through those relationships. My goal as a transportation person is when people Google Laredo, Texas, they see all the nicer things of the Laredo, Texas are what come out first, not all the negative things that unfortunately a lot of our local social media people, that's what they want to call themselves, love to promote and complain and all that. That doesn't help anybody. Every city has its problems. Every family has its problems. Every organization has its problems. But we only should focus more on making sure that our city, where we live, I love where I live. My child has asked me several times, would you ever leave Laredo, Dad? No. This is my home, we are very blessed, to be who we are. And I love Laredo. So an entity within the city that will promote that and promote, international relationships with partners in Mexico with whom we are friends with, and we need them and they need us, right? I think it's something positive and it's something good for our city. So congratulations. And
thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Thank you.
On our behalf, President, you've always done a fine job, in the mayor's office. We look forward to the collaboration with Mexico. It's very important. And to answer the question from earlier, why, has it been thought of before? not in this context. This Mayor Sines and Mayor Trevino have really worked on Mexico's relations with the United States, with us in particular. And so Jose was always with Mayor Sines for the whole 8 years, right?
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. So he got to travel with him to Mexico quite frequently, and then Mayor Trevino is doing that as well. But he's in a new role, that's very important role for this.
And just to clarify, we've been doing it for a long time, but we're very lucky that we're able to now open the position. And as Jose said, it coincided. He was doing his practicum. We were opening the position, and I'm really glad that we were able to bring it into the team. We've been doing Mexico relations for a long time, but now we have the opportunity to create that position, and what better than to bring somebody that has that experience with the mayors and that has traveled with us and has those connections.
Felicidades.
Good. Gracias.
Panelists, are you still okay? Do you need a break?
Okay, I'm good.
You're good? Okay, we have our final presentation for the afternoon. We have a gentleman by the name of Ricardo Galvan. He's from the Bridge Department. The title of his practicum is Application of Technology into Commercial Traffic Control Issues and Experiences at Laredo Bridge. Mr. Galvan?
Good afternoon, panelists. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for taking the time. I'd like to thank city management for being here, my bridge management staff for supporting me, and my CPM Colbert for being here as well. The title of my application, well, I want to first give me a background. I've been working for the city of Laredo for bridge department for 21 years already. I started off down the ranks as a collector, went up to cashier teller. Now I'm a bridge shift supervisor. Currently I'm working in the front office customer service department, handling all finances and transactions that deal with the Laredo Bridge system. My interest in this practicum was I wanted to apply new technology into our current technology. We have still some updates. The current infrastructure is there. There's little compatibility issues with the new technology that needs to be implemented. So that was the reason for my interest in this topic, but as well also the issues and experiences as a bridge shift supervisor. I have first-hand experiences as to what issues we have at the bridge as having our customers flowing efficiently into Mexico. Is this the intro?
It's just the enter, yes.
Yeah. So my practicum target was technological advancements to promote economic growth and trade. My purpose was to evaluate the need to implement new technology into existing technology and find collaboration between the U.S. and Mexico. My gap in literature was by collaborating with local stakeholders and examining existing technologies, we can identify effective strategies for improving commercial traffic control and reducing congestion at our number one inland port. So by now, every day you go around the Loop 20, interchange 35, you see traffic, trailers, all the way to Doctor's Hospital, all the way to Shiloh. I've seen turnarounds all the way to Saunders. So we've become a powerhouse as far as trade powerhouse, and traffic congestion is our problem, our big issue. So that's the reason that I emphasize the need for technology to be implemented in order to cross all that traffic through, but most importantly, find the collaboration with Mexico. Mexico lacks a lot of transparency with us. The presentation that you heard earlier about the international relations, there's a big need to have that big bond between the two countries in order to flow all this traffic, because you can have all the infrastructure, you can have the World Trade Bridge expansion, the Columbia expansion, but if you don't have that binational agreements, binational diplomacy, you will not be able to efficiently cross all this traffic through. With new technology, with apps, we, on a first-hand basis, in our customer service department, we get customers that want more technology. They want more texts, emails being sent to them as to what is going on, letting them know of what issues we currently have and how we can improve in that. That's a lot of big questions that we always get on a daily basis. Traffic control and management are generally considered economically, financially, and environmentally sustainable measures for alleviating traffic congestion in major cities. Promoting traffic control and management has long been one of the top priorities for both developed and developing countries. Traffic control and management performance are usually evaluated in terms of several essential attributes such as cost, time, reliability, safety, and emission, ranging from a more localized perspective of efficiency to a broader perspective of effectiveness. An effective and efficient traffic control management system benefits society by reducing fuel consumption, preserving the environment, fostering development, reducing traffic congestion, and improving safety. However, various impacts of traffic control and management measures are challenging to quantify. For the past 30 years that we've been in Laredo trade, ever since trucks used to go to Bridge 1, Bridge 2, and then when the World Trade was built, we set a record for total trade for 23 of those 30 years. The only missing years was due to the 3 years after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2009 during the mortgage-led global financial crisis, and 2016 as well, and 2019 and 2020 during the global COVID-19 pandemic. So we're a powerhouse as far as trade is concerned, but we're just lacking a little bit more technology-wise. Port Laredo's trade with top trade partner Mexico increased 10.87 year-to-date this year. Our top 5 trade partners are Mexico, China, France, Nicaragua, and Japan. Motor vehicle parts is the most valuable Port Laredo export. By value, Port Laredo was responsible for 6.36% of U.S. trade in 2024, ranking number 1 among all ports and number 1 among all border crossings. This slide just shows you how important Port Laredo is to Mexico and how much we're up there number 1. Nobody really gives us any competition at all as far as trade is concerned here locally. Our imports and exports have increased throughout the years, as you can see. So there has been don't diminish in revenues. So it's a good thing to start by implementing more technology, since we can't say that we're going down on revenues. So my question was, what factors, if any, influence policy decision-making and implementing advanced technology to facilitate trade? Does implementing advanced technology influence economic growth? And does the implementation of advanced technology influence trade efficiency? Of course, my issues and experience that I see every day is our traffic congestion, which affects our air quality as a local citizen of Laredo. It affects the local citizens of Laredo that live nearby our commercial bridges, and it increases in public safety concerns by more accidents due to the traffic congestions. And I know our Laredo PD has been able to assist us in having strategic movements around the area to easily flow the traffic that's around the Mines Road. And of course, because all this traffic congestion, it gives them more loss of revenue. They could have had more time to cross more trucks and give us more trade. I did a questionnaire to a total of 15 participants. Out of those 15, 11 responded. And there were very simple questions as, does commercial traffic affect your everyday life? So most of the people that live on the north side usually see this kind of traffic. And my second question, would you agree that the city of Laredo has good relations with the city of Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mexico? And a lot of them agreed, but there needs to be more binational diplomacy between countries to have a better, efficient flow of goods and services. My question number 3 was, would you agree that the city of Laredo Port of Entry needs better infrastructure? A lot of people agreed that we do need infrastructure. Our World Trade Bridge is already going to our 25th anniversary, and we still have the same route that the trucks take, and I think it would be important to implement a new strategic and have a kind of backup plan in case we encounter some kind of catastrophic event. Question number 4 was, should Port Laredo implement and coordinate better truck routes to alleviate traffic? So firsthand, when I drive from Columbia to World Trade, we see a lot of traffic. You take about an hour just to take 3 or 4 blocks from more or less Love's convenience store all the way to Pan American. I think it would be crucial to implement a new truck route where trucks would have a designated lane to maneuver and have non-commercial trucks through the other lane. Question number 5 was, do you agree that Port Laredo can better enhance technology that monitors traffic control? Of course, a lot of people agree that we need to enhance the technology in order to make it easier for the truck drivers flow through their routes and get faster to our World Trade Bridge or Columbia Bridge. This was just a graph that I did just on the questionnaire. And my recommendations, of course, would be to improve the infrastructure. Of course, we have the infrastructure, we're working on that. But I would really like to implement and enforce new traffic patterns on daily congested roads to alleviate the flow of traffic. Number 2, my second recommendation would be enhanced technology to efficiently process commercial trucks at our port of entry. So we need to upgrade some of our areas as far as software is concerned and our hardware in the lanes just to make the flow of traffic easier. And there needs to be a binational diplomacy between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo, more transparency, more communication between both countries when we have a very bad traffic congestion on the US side. So we need to have stronger collaboration, and we need to address the current challenges at the moment, and then promote future economic and trade relations between two countries. And I thank you, and any questions that you might have.
Very good job. I liked your presentation. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more data. I know you had a 5-question survey. But even the questions themselves didn't really give you a lot of data. You know, I mean, if you're going to be making data-driven decisions, I would have liked to, seen a larger population size, because you got returns from 11 people.
Yes, time was a constraint. We lacked time yes, maybe I could have done a
Yeah, and be careful with your questions, make sure they're not leading, right, to kind of skew the answer as well. And yeah, I would definitely have increased the sample size, and it went only to public officials? What's a public official? What was, like, how did you
My
decide
data
that?
was basically I used my CPM cohort class to
Okay.
give me a better understanding of what we need. They see it, they're in different departments, so
Yeah.
they've seen different firsthand what the city goes through in each department.
So it was a diverse, in terms of you went in asking people from several different departments?
Yes.
Rather than just one, or?
No, it was different departments.
And you didn't highlight any specific technologies. I know you said you want to, improve.
Technology runs a big way. You have sensors and you have a monitoring team and there's a lot of
Exactly.
things.
So if you're going to make
Yeah.
recommendations,
Yes.
right, make specific recommendations. Yeah, I know you have it, right, but
Yes.
I would have liked to have seen it in the presentation.
Did you get an opportunity to research other ports, the technology they're using, and if they're using this type of technology you're recommending, and how are their results?
Yes, I was not able to research, but since basically compared to McAllen and other ports, we're way farther ahead of them. I don't think the technology that we have now, that we have right now, I think they're basically using the same because they don't have a lot of trucks that go through their ports compared to ours. So I don't think they would have a lot of issues as far as traffic congestion and any technology-based compatibility issues because they have, to me, they have very low traffic, but it would, that's one thing I didn't research other ports.
Yeah, probably. I also have the question of what type of technology, and be more specific, and like give examples, and obviously a little bit more of a research on,
Yes.
on the benefits of implementing those type of technologies.
There was a lot of research, but I looked up research, but there's not really research that contains about having issues with Mexico as far as time constraints. It's more about migrants, it's more about drug issues, the war with the cartels, all that stuff. Doesn't really gives us a brief explanation of how to handle a cross-border relations. It did have cross-border relations, but it was basically our NAFTA and now with our tariffs there, it's just basically bigger.
Yeah, and obviously the traffic goes both ways, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. My basically was my concern was going southbound because northbound, as a city of Laredo employee, I don't have no control as to what the federal government does. It's more about our citizens alleviating the traffic in order to avoid all these setbacks.
of course it's a great idea. Everybody in Laredo is going to love it once you implement it.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And this guy's going to give you some ideas of
Yes.
what you can probably accomplish here.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Galvan, on 21 years of the city and climbing the ranks from a collector. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, sir.
There are several things that, unfortunately, you cannot control and we cannot control as a city.
Yes.
And this is where Mr. Oyervides will come in with the relationships with Mexico. One of the main reasons why we have the traffic back up all the way to international, and all that is because the Mexican customs systems fails, unfortunately, in 2025 on a weekly basis. That is, number one, embarrassing, and it shouldn't happen, but it's out of our control.
Yes.
We spend a lot of time speaking to Mexican officials as an industry, and I bring it up very regularly, and they just need to upgrade their system. We are somewhat, confident that once they open their office in Nuevo Laredo, where their, ANAM is going to be centrally located now in Nuevo Laredo, that should help us because they're high-ranking people in the government that make the decisions for the border, for the system and everything. When it breaks, will physically be here, and they will be able to see it firsthand. Unfortunately, Mexico does not have a backup plan like CBP. CBP's system sometimes fails too, but CBP gives you a conditional release, gets everybody off the bridge, sends everybody wherever they're supposed to go, and then we wait as a trucking industry, as a transportation company, until CBP says, this has been cleared, the system's back up, you can ship your load. They get rid of the traffic. They make things flow. There's a little, as it happens, they have to restructure, et cetera, but they let everybody go. Mexico doesn't have that. If their system goes down, everything stops.
Yes.
And that's what creates a lot of those lines. Yes, there's also peak times during the day when we as an industry create longer lines because we all send our drivers at 4 p.m. and we all want them to cross together or at a certain time frame. That does create some backup and some, congestion. And it's a side effect of being, like your slide showed, the number one port, and no one being anywhere near close to the traffic and the volume of freight that crosses through here. It's a side effect. It can never be perfect, I would focus 100% on the Mexico portion. I believe that when Mexico does something about it, has a contingency plan for when their system goes down, that will help alleviate a lot of the issues that we have.
Yes.
And yes, I agree. We're going to celebrate 25 years of World Trade Bridge next week.
Yes.
And in the graph you saw it, everything has increased positively. Yes. We see more traffic, there's more trade, but the infrastructure is still the same. Technology is great. I believe we have good technology at the bridge. Personally, I think it works. It's just when your counterpart on the other side, the other country, breaks, they tie our hands.
Yes, that's correct.
So it is something that unfortunately we really cannot control it. We also have been working with TxDOT in regards to all the traffic lights. My office is physically on Pinto Valle Road. I'm neighbors to the Firefighters Training Center. So I drove that earlier before I got here, and I drive that every time I go to the office. I go through all the traffic. There are talks within TxDOT of making Mines Road bigger. You really can't make a dedicated 18-wheeler line because the cost of that is excessive. I mean, our management can tell you what does it cost right now to pave a road or make one block, of city. It's expensive, very expensive. But it's things that we are working with our TxDOT and our government officials, our state officials to do that. There's even pictures now of having a second floor on Mines Road. Basically, that would literally be a second story, between, as far as we can take it, of course, maybe Columbia, right? But that would be one of the dreams that we're working on. These are all good side effects of being the number one port.
Yes.
And you can't, there will be other side effects that we're not comfortable with. Congestion, pollution. Yes, when you put 5,000 trucks parked next to each other, the pollution there will be a little higher than at 3 in the morning on the intersection of Carlton and, any other, right? It's common sense. But, good presentation. This is good. This didn't get us on the right track, in my opinion. We need to, have better infrastructure and have our drivers, drive in and out safely within our city. So, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, honored guests and panelists, this is concluding our presentations for today. I, on behalf of the City of Laredo, the City Manager, and our management team that is there for this, we're indebted to y'all. Thank you so much for your time for this afternoon. We understand your schedules are extremely busy, but we appreciate what you're doing for our workforce. We're trying to develop the best workforce in the City of Laredo, and this is our best workforce today. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For our CPM students, thank you so much for everything that you've done in the presentations today. We're enlightening. Sulema is my boss today, so here's what she's going to tell me. So I would be remiss in not acknowledging Sulema Ortiz as our employee relations manager, and also her team, Jennifer and Martha. Without them, none of this would happen. Sulema is the one that comes in with his great ideas on Zulema, you're going to be fired today, so Zulema is exactly the way that I have. But without her vision, we couldn't make this happen. So I want to thank you, Zulema, for everything that you do for us. Before everyone walks away, Zulema would like to take a picture with our panelists, if we may. And we've got a little bit of token of appreciation for our panelists for being here with us today that Zulema will present. And I'll let Zulema take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that when I reached out to you, we wanted a representation of people from the community that are in the industry or impacted by some of the ideas that our cohort participants had. And so we reached out, and I had to introduce myself to Mr. Maldonado. I had never met you or Mr. Medina, but thank you for trusting me and being here today. I believe that the insight and the feedback that you provided, not just to our cohort participants, but for us as citizens, is totally, extremely valuable, and something that we would not have had you not taken the time to be here. So for that, we'll be eternally grateful. The bad thing is that I now have your phone number. And I will be reaching out, but again, you can count on us to be here. We have a very, very small token of appreciation. We'd like for you to come down. Eventually, we want to take a picture of the three of you panelists with our 4 presenters that presented this afternoon. But first, we'll have, again, just a small token. And Linda R. Ramirez and Linda is from Laredo College. We have Gerardo Jerry Maldonado. And when, how do I get these names? I Google. I just Google. Okay? And Martha was invaluable to me because Martha just joined our staff not even a month ago. And she used to work with the logistics center. So she put us in contact with Mr. Medina, thank you, Mr. Medina.